You know, in recent years, there hasn't really been a horror movie that has felt fresh in a while for me. It's either they focus purely on jump scares, they focus on the overly gory side of horror, or if it's a possession movie, they have the possessed character say, "Oh, I'm gonna fuck your mom," or have a demon that throws around the people a little bit. And while I do understand their place, and it does also satisfy my little monkey neuron, what I want out of my horror movies is a little bit more sauce. Have something to say a little bit more than just having violence for violence sake. I want something that challenges the audience. I want these horror movies to comment on things that actually need to be commented on. I guess what I'm trying to say is I really wish that the horror genre can grow up a little bit, and that's why I think that we need more psychological horrors. I'm not saying that these type of movies don't exist, it's just that when they do, a good one only appears every now and then, and I think that this movie falls perfectly into that category. Talk to Me is a psychological horror that was made by two brothers who started off on YouTube. Their channel name was Raka Raka, and I actually remember growing up watching their videos. If you don't know them, they're the ones that made the Ron McDonald Being Up the Kid video that went viral like years ago.
Ron, this isn't a part of the script.
And their over-the-top fine choreography videos. So as a person that actually enjoyed their content, I was a little bit more curious about this movie when it was releasing. I mean, the trailer for it sort of made it look generic, but I was still kind of curious. So when it released, I wasn't there. Yeah, it took me a whole entire year to watch this movie. So I decided to go to my local Walmart. It was the cheapest DVD there, which makes me sad because it obviously means that nobody wanted it. Which then reminds me of the dystopian capitalist state of the world right now, where corporations are wanting to price cut to make more money for the sake of destroying physical preservation because it's deemed as too niche, even though people buy fucking records and they're still selling that at Walmarts and places that are getting rid of DVDs. Not to mention that records are fucking older than DVDs. I should stop before I go on a rant. But anyways, I went home and I watched it, and man, did I fall in love with this movie. So, is this YouTuber movie actually great? Yeah, and I'll explain why. It's a rare breed of YouTube movies that are actually good. So, let's talk about Talk to Me. The story and messaging. This movie is about a possessed hand that is brought out during parties. I'm gonna be completely honest here. That hand looks pretty cool. Not gonna lie. I wouldn't mind actually buying one. Okay, maybe if it was cheaper. It's seen as this brand new trend that all the kids are doing. And this possessed hand isn't just a generic possessed hand. It's a hand that feasts on your insecurities. It feeds into people's addictive behaviors, and it makes them expose parts of them that they didn't want to show. It's a great metaphor for how people can fall into addiction and how some people can never truly get out of that trapped cycle of said addiction. I like how the hand not only represents addiction, but it can be applied to a lot of things. The sad truth of being stuck in this endless depressive cycle where you want to get lost in your own self with no return, having the need to depend on something because you know that it's one of the few things that you think makes you happy, but in reality it doesn't. The hand representing how far people will go to be entertained from people's pain and how far they will expose the private moments that shouldn't be shown in all of the sake for views. The hand not only represents addiction obviously, but it represents greed, it represents shame, it represents guilt, it represents how far people will go to make themselves want to be happy. The hand exposes the true nature of the people around you. It can represent how much they're struggling internally. It can show that some of your quote-unquote friends actually don't give a fuck about you, and how those said friends, all they want from you is to use you. And I think that that's actually a great message to show people who your actual friends are. Friends don't bail the moment that you get hurt. They don't film you without your consent. They should care about your safety, not endanger it. And I think that this movie captures all that beautifully. I love how they handled the demons in this movie. I like how the demons purposely give the main characters hope that their mom is actually there, when in reality it's just a demon that is feeding off of the guilt of the two characters. It shows that demons don't need to be physically intimidating to be threatening in movies, but rather it's scary that they use these temptations so that they can make some of the main characters completely lose their mind to the game so that the cycle can continue. It makes them do things where other people want to leave them because it wants them to be all alone, so that the hand can give them a false purpose. And I think the demons being a representation of what addiction is perfect. All in all, I love the messaging of this movie. I think they do this all accurately and respectfully. The characters and acting. Right off the bat, Sophie Wilde is the best fucking actor in this movie. She brings so much raw emotion to this role. I mean, there is some moments that I thought was trying to be scary, or at least attempt to be, but I think the acting of everybody else being panicked sort of sells it in a way. She both captures how a young adult acts like, but also accurately portrays their insecurities. And it makes you genuinely believe that this person is hurting from a death of a family member, and how as a result she doesn't want to feel alone. And it's not a surprise that she won an award for Best Actress. You can see her thoughts, you can see her rage, you can see her guilt. Her performance is so fucking powerful that I just have to give props to her. She is an extreme highlight of the movie, which is a good thing since she's the main character after all. I like the mom actress. I think she accurately portrays what a mom is. Jokey, but obviously knows when to put the hammer down. I like how the brother character perfectly represents a misguided teenager, hanging in with the wrong crowd, trying to do stuff for attention, but in the end just wants to fit in, even if the friends around him don't really give a shit about what he actually likes. The two people that have the hand perfectly encapsulates non-caring and manipulative friend groups that people can accidentally fall into. The whole entire main cast just does an extremely good job. There isn't a single performance that I thought was lacking, and I really hope that this movie is a stepping stone for them to be in more movies, especially for the main actress. The cinematography. Now I think that this movie has clear inspirations from Evil Dead, and I love it. I love the twisty movements of whenever they get possessed. I love how when the door slams, it sort of resets the camera. I love the interpretation of somebody slowly dying in their own head. I love how there's a shot that focuses purely on the phone. The camera has so much energy to it, while also having some very unique lighting at some times. And with a low budget of $4.5 million, it's impressive that it looks this damn good, and it's directed this well. You would think that since it's a YouTube movie, it would sort of look amateur, or be filmed in a way where it's purposely sort of staged as if it's a YouTube video. But no, it actually does something that a lot of YouTube movies kind of forget to do. It allows itself to stand on its own. It's not doing any quirky quick edits. They treat it like a movie and not just another video that they have to make for YouTube. And you can see that by the way that they filmed the movie. The social media implementation. I feel like this is the only movie that I actually feel like the social media is important to the story. It doesn't do it in a forced way where it feels unnatural. It just feels like it's seamless. It doesn't feel like a 50-year-old trying to understand the internet and going, this is how the internet is. This is how the YouTubes is. I'm viewing the internet as if it's 20 years ago. Nah, they don't do any of that. It's made by people that genuinely understand how the internet works and how people can easily become in trance of that number going up and up, and how people will do anything for views, even if that means hurting people in the process. It's a subtle commentary that is welcomed. Now, having KSI there on the little phone could be a little dated, but at least it wasn't egregious. It doesn't feel like I'm being talked down to. It shows the internet as it is. The internet isn't all sunshine and rainbows. It can be used in a way where it becomes malicious and invasive. A quirky little trend can be made to harm gullible people for people to point and laugh at them. Whether the intentions were innocent in the first place, it can be weaponized to create something fucked up for people to fall for. I think the story labeling it as some sort of quirky trend that's relatable with the youth hits home hard when it comes to trends in social media. It's a great message to send out to young adults, and I have to respect it. Now to the negatives, which I actually don't really have a lot. I thought the beginning of the movie was a little bit slow. I thought there were some moments that were just not really that scary when they're trying to be scary. There were some line deliveries that I felt like they could have redone it, and that is all. Anyways, this movie proves that YouTuber movies can work. Now, obviously, this isn't like a direct YouTube movie. It's not referencing anything that happened online, but I would count it since it is made by YouTubers. But this movie just feels so genuine. It's thought-provoking, talks about things that mainstream media barely talks about. It understands how people can develop and what makes a person truly spiral. With some of the scenes, it can genuinely be tense at times, and the ending is so good that it genuinely made me wishing for this director to just make another movie already. Despite it having a few flaws, I actually really enjoyed this movie. So I'm gonna give it a healthy 9 out of 10. I think that you guys should genuinely check this out, whether that be digitally, physically, it doesn't matter. Just watch this underrated movie. I'm so glad that this movie is a financial success, and I think that these directors have a promising future ahead of them, and I can't wait for their next project. This is me in the middle of editing. Apparently there's a sequel that's releasing, which gives me both hope and dread at the same time. Like, there's a lot of questions of why continue this. This just feels good as a single movie, but I'm also curious of what they will do in the future. All I have to say is, don't fuck it up. Anyway, subscribe if you want to, like if you want to, even comment if you want to. I don't care, you do you, and have a good day. You know, the KSI cameo was kind of shit, but at least they didn't pull a Disney where they hire Miranda Sings, a literal fucking groomer.